Hi, Clutter Fairy fans. Welcome to the August 2019 Houston Clutter Coaching Meetup. Our topic today is Jumpstart Your Organizing Plan, 50 Ways to Leave Your Clutter. We're with Gayle Goddard, professional organizer and owner of the Clutter Fairy in Houston, Texas. Over to you, Gayle.
Hi, everybody. I can't believe it's already August in Texas. It's really hot here. And we actually passed 100 meetups in July. It was quite a surprise. We were standing there getting ready to do our presentation and we realized, oh my gosh, this is the 100th meetup. So we wanted to do something to honor the achievement of having done 100 of them. And so we thought we would go back to the presentation that we did when we reached 50 and talk about 50 very practical applications of things that you can do to get started. It's all kinds. I'm just going to run a list of 50 things you can be doing. Some of it is action items, some of it's products you can use, and the idea is just to give you 50 different jumping off points so that you can tackle your project and get done. So this is going to be super practical, and we're going to read a list and run a PowerPoint as we go by so that you can see some pictures. And of course, you can view the video afterwards. Once this gets recorded, you'll be able to see the video and stop the video and see the pieces of the list as you go along. So you don't have to worry about taking notes is my point, because it'll be in the video and you can watch it that way. Okay, so here's the list and I'm gonna read through it. And number one is the first best place to start in organizing your stuff is to clear out the junk drawer. Everybody has a junk drawer that they sweep their hands into and throw all kinds of stuff in, and then it becomes so stuffed and they can't open it anymore, and you've long since forgotten what's in there. So that's a perfect microcosm project to empty out and sort the entire contents, and you won't believe what you find in there, and half of it will be trash, and you can put it back in with a junk drawer sorting container. They make lots of segmented expandable containers to corral your junk drawer, because everybody has one, and so they started making products for them, and you can keep up with the stuff that is there in a better way. And when it gets full, you know it's out of control and it's time to get through it. Number two, clear off the floor of your closet. Whenever I get invited to somebody's house and they want to work on the closet, they always say, oh my gosh, I don't know where to start. And as we're standing there at the door and I can't walk into the closet, the obvious place to start is the floor. If you can't get into the closet because there's stuff on the floor, then that's the best place to start. So I tell people, ignore everything that is above, ignore everything that's on the bars, just focus on the floor, clear off the stuff on the floor and create a path. And then you have a place to stand to do your work, to do the rest of the closet another day. Because usually clearing the floor is a whole project in of itself. Number three, speaking of closets, wire hangers are a great thing to suddenly make room on your closet rod. Usually there are a whole bunch of wire hangers stuck in amongst all of the things, and if you're somebody that regularly goes and gets dry cleaning done so that you're always got a new batch of wire hangers coming in that you're taking clean clothes off of, then I swear there'll be 100 wire hangers wedged in and amongst your closet rod, and that's part of why you're having such a hard time. So each individual wire hanger doesn't take up much space, but 100 of them takes up 3 feet. So if you just go and pull those out and take them back to recycle them at your dry cleaner, you'll suddenly have some more breathing room on your closet rod.
If you save the plastic bags as you take them off of your cleaning, the dry cleaners will take all of those back too for recycling.
I didn't know that they were taking the plastic bags.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, cool. So then, you just need to have a reusable bag that you stuff wire hangers in, and another reusable bag that you stuff the plastic in, and then when you go to pick up dry cleaning, take the stuff and give it back to them. That's awesome. Okay, number four is it's time to check out the medicine chest. That medicine cabinet has so much supplements and medications, things that you've started and you didn't finish, things that you tried and you didn't like. You bought things when you were sick and you used them until you felt better, and then they've been in there for 5 years and it's dead. So the medicine cabinet is a really small box, either hanging on the wall or some kind of door that swings open somewhere, and it's not really a big thing. So it's not hard for it to get overloaded and then become useful. So it is a perfect another microcosm box that you can go and filter through and get some space back and make it more function for you again. What needs to be in there is the stuff that you are currently taking that is in good shape, that's not expired. Make a bag of expired medicines that you can take back. And then there's a real frequent drug take back happening every month. So if we will put that in the, I don't remember the address, but if you will look in the notes later, we will, for the YouTube video, we will put in the link to go find out where is this month's drug take back. And I actually did one in Houston not too long ago. It was at the local Walmart. They had a pop-up tent in the parking lot, and I just drove by, and there was the people and a couple of cops standing there, I guess, to protect the drug collection. And I just handed it out the window, and that was the end of it. It was super easy. So don't be thwarted by, you don't want to throw them in the trash. There should be an easy way to dispose of it. And if you time your medicine chest clean out for when the take back day is, you can clean it out and go take it back on that day. So you just need to coordinate with the schedule. Okay, next is linen closet. So as you can see, here's this shelf, and in that picture is like 6 towels on one shelf, because they're folded and they're fat. When you get into the linen closet, all the things that go in there, pillows, linens, blankets, they're all really fat when they're folded up, and they take up a lot of space. So it's not unusual that a linen closet looks super, super stuffed, but really there's, 20 things in there. If it's a big floor to ceiling, big in the hallway walk-in linen closet, there might be 100 things in there. And it looks really overwhelming, but it's not as many pieces as you think, because each piece is big. So this is a perfect project to go in and pull the sheets for the beds that you don't have anymore. Like maybe you have a bunch of twin sheets and you don't have a twin bed anymore. That kind of stuff. It's super easy to filter and get rid of the towels that are old. If you wouldn't use it and you wouldn't give it to a guest because the condition is embarrassing, then it's time for it to come out of the linen closet and go somewhere else. If it's destroyed, if it's stained, if it's whatever, and it wouldn't be appropriate for somebody to get it a donation site, then you donate it to a vet, a animal shelter, anything related with animals where they're serving animals, and they will use them and be happy to have them. It's a great way to thin out that closet, and it's a short project because all the pieces are so big. It's much easier to filter than you think. Next is mail. So what I mean by mail stash is everybody has that moment when the company is coming or the party's about to happen or whatever, and you sweep all the mail off into a box and you go shove it in a closet, and then you forget about it. So now's the time to remember it and to go pull that box out of the closet and go through that mail stash. It's a combined finite population, and it is now very well marinated and old, and all of the excitement has gone by, all the events have gone by, and likely all the bills have been paid. So you'll probably find 2 or 3 pieces of paper in there that you deem worthy of keeping, and all the rest of them will be available for shredding or trash. So totally worth it. And it won't take as long as you think, because it's probably been in there a long time and it's way not important anymore in terms of your current life. Magazines, oh my gosh. So everybody collects magazines to some extent, and there's usually a big stack in a corner somewhere, or more than one stack in a corner somewhere. And so if you go find those magazines, I would collect all of them in one place, and then filter through them. And some of them are going to be magazines and catalogs, and the catalogs, you're going to have 6 iterations of the same catalog, and you really only need the current one, so the rest of them need to be recycled. And the magazines are something that, if it's a magazine that you really love and you want to go, it's part of your hobby, it's part of your work, it's something that you're going to refer to again, then we have to work out a way for you to keep up with and manage the magazines. But otherwise, mostly magazines accumulate because people look at them and forget about them, and they can't throw them away while they're new, right? And so go find all the ones that are more than 6 months old and recycle all those. Everything that you can let go is one less thing in the pile. Travel bottles and mugs. So what I mean by this is every kitchen that I go into, apparently, because they're super useful and they don't wear out as much, the coffee mugs that you take in the car, these water bottles, they were a hot gift for a while for people to give away. And as prizes, as promotional items, whatever. There's a million of these insulated bottles and mugs that have come into your life, and they're all in a cabinet somewhere, and they're kind of big and bulky, and so if you get more than 5 or 6, they're really taking up valuable space, and so it's not a great place. It's not a great place to surrender kitchen's cabinet space to these kinds of bottles and mugs. So I would go through and pull them all down and filter them and make sure they all have their lids and all that stuff, match them up, and then decide how many of these things you actually need to keep. Just because you got it for free from somebody doesn't mean you have to keep it. And if you tried it and you used it and you don't like it anymore, it's time to let it go. There's only so many bottles and things you can have in your life, and so they take up a lot of space. Thin the herd as much as you can. So I don't know what it is about plastic bags, but there's always a space in everybody's house where they've been shoving plastic bags. And I actually had a client who had used the double wide pull out drawer that was directly under the stove. And that was the only thing that was in there. And it was like the prime real estate for cooking utensils and pots and pans. And she had filled it all up with plastic bags. I'm like, that is not the best use of this drawer. Look where you're standing. You're right in front of the stove. All that plastic could catch on fire. And B, this is where you should be reaching for your pots and pans. And so plastic bags are something that we all have to deal with, and it's a problem. And we don't process them fast enough. So I would throw out more than you keep, and B, if you have a big collection of stash bags somewhere, you have to know that you're probably on your 750th bag as you put the next one in there, and this is a good thing to filter down. Like, you're not going to need that many. One thing that you can try is see if somebody at a resale store would like to have your stash, because maybe you can give them away and somebody can use them. But ever stuffing a cabinet in the kitchen is just going to become a bigger, more explosive problem. So find a solution to turn these out, and go to the grocery store with your reusable grocery bag so that you don't bring so many home. The refrigerator, you have to clean it out. So everybody puts leftovers in, and then they get shoved to the back, and then they turn into a science experiment and they start growing hair. So this is the perfect, the refrigerator's a small box. Pull a shelf at a time and pull the contents down and circulate them so that you can reclaim the plastic container, you can get the dead food out, you can make more room in the fridge to make it easier to find what you actually have. I would include in this, if you're going to go into the doors on the side and pull out the condiments, for instance, and make sure those are still condiments that people actually want to eat and they're not dead and that kind of stuff. It's a good short project and everybody should do it, because the food that's in there is not fresh. Artwork. Okay, all you moms out there, I know that every elementary school teacher, and the school year just started, and every elementary school teacher's job is to make sure as much artwork as possible comes home to you. This is how they're educating and entertaining your children during the day. They're making them do art projects, and then they send them all home to you. So you have, approximately 200 school days worth of artwork coming your way. And so every one that they do is not going to be, the most fabulous one. And you probably want to collect it over the course of the year. And at the end of the school year, go back and pick your favorite, 3 or 4 or 5, and let the rest go to recycling. If your kid is super into his own art and wants to be recognized for it, then you have a rotating gallery on the fridge or on a wall somewhere, a bulletin board. You put the new one up and take the old one down, so you're constantly rotating the pieces on it. And that will give you an excuse to be in rotation. If you are going to pin up the new one, then we got to take the old one down. And little kids, they just need not acknowledgement for a minute. They just need a minute of your attention and focus and acknowledgement that they're worthy, and then they're happy. In the end, you don't want an entire closet full of their entire school year's worth of schoolwork. So start practicing now with artwork and filter. Okay, next. Under the kitchen sink and under the bathroom sink, these are they're little junk drawer kind of places for some reason. I don't know what it is about having piping under there that makes it feel like a junk drawer to us, but we all have jammed up underneath the bathroom sinks, and the kitchen sinks. And so this is a great one to pull all the contents out, because you haven't seen what's in there for a while, and there's probably some crazy stuff in there, first of all. And there's probably a lot of cleaning products you tried and you didn't like, and here's 437 rags, and you don't need all those rags. Go and filter those contents, clean out the thing, make sure that there's something on the bottom, particularly in the kitchen or wherever you store the really strong chemicals that might leak. You don't want them sitting on the wood. So having them in some kind of a tray or something, so if they leak or drip or whatever, then it's dripping into the tray and not onto your cabinetry, would be helpful. And consider that a afternoon project. I'm going to clean out underneath the kitchen sink, or I'm going to do the bathroom sinks, cabinets, and it'll be worth it. You'll be surprised how much space you get back. So I put filing cabinet up there because what I mean by that is everybody hates looking at their 4-drawer filing cabinet and thinking, oh my gosh, there's so much paper in there and I could never get through it all. And really, you can think of it in smaller bites and go open one drawer of the cabinet and go through that drawer and filter those files for the stuff that isn't important anymore. It is a great way to tackle it in a smaller bite and refresh the content so that you get rid of stuff that's no longer important and you get space back in that drawer. If you only have to sit and do one drawer at a time, it'll be an easier, more palatable project, and you will really regain a lot of space, actually. If you find that you are looking at a category and you're thinking, oh, I have to keep all of it, then I would encourage you to just pull one file at a time and flip through the contents of the file and see what you think. It may be less, you may have to keep less than you think, and it just requires a little bit more focus to figure that out. But generally, stuff goes in the file cabinet and then it never comes back again. And so you never go back to open it again. It's old, old, old. And so there's usually lots of paper that you can go, oh, I don't need my electric bills from 1995. I can shred that whole file folder and it'll be okay. And suddenly you have space again. Office supplies. Oh my gosh. I don't know what it is. This is the school year, right? When school starts, and then there's office supplies, school supplies like everywhere. And I think that there's something about how we all got all excited about getting new supplies at the beginning of the year, and how that translates to adulthood is that then we just want to go in and out of Office Depot all the time. We always want to have more office supplies, except that we've switched to such a digital environment, we don't really need that many. So it's likely that you have a whole lot more office supplies than you could actually use in your lifetime. And going through and keeping, one or two of all the supplies that you have, and then getting rid of all the multiples of those things, means that you still have the variety without all the volume. So I would try to reduce the volume of each type, and then I would look at each supply and see if it's actually something that you care about, or you can see yourself ever actually using. If you can't see using it in the next 6 months, donate it away to a classroom, a school, a after-school program, a nonprofit, anybody that has a low budget that could use your supplies for free. And then they're going to get used right away, and how much better is that than gathering dust in your house? So office supplies are a good thing to filter. Okay, book people. Whenever I talk to book people about, hey, can we go over here and thin out the bookcase? Can we make the books fit a little bit better? Can we get rid of some? A book lover's immediate response is, oh my God, don't touch my books. Oh my gosh, don't touch my books. So I challenge you as that person to go up to your bookcase and stand in front of one of the shelves and run your finger along the titles and go, yes, that's my favorite. No, I hated that book. No, I'm never going to read that book. No, I don't know what I was thinking. Yes, I read it, but I won't read it again. There's always books up there. If you look at the detail of the books instead of thinking of the books as a whole, if you go in and look at the detail, you can pull out, okay, I'm not going to read that book again. I read it. I hated it. Whatever. I'm not interested in this anymore. And you can usually get 10 or 20% more space in your bookshelves just by looking at the details and selecting out the individual titles you don't care about. If you're ambitious, you can up that game to, I want to find the titles that I would really like to have in digital form. I want to have them on the Nook or in my reader, whatever my e-reader is, and then I'm going to get rid of all the rest of these books. And there may be some that's like, I want to keep the actual book because that's really special to me, but here's 50% of the books that I'm happy to have in digital form and not keep in the actual book form, and then you can give the books away to someone else. So give them back to a library, give them to a school program. So there's always ways to filter books without being threatened that we're taking all your books away. So I don't know about you, but I have cats at the house, and anybody that has pets, shopping for the pet is part of the entertainment of having a pet. And so you get to go and buy a bunch of toys, and then you realize that after you've owned a pet for more than about approximately 5 minutes, you realize that half of the pets that you think are cool, the pet that you have does not care about them at all. And so there's going to be a bunch of tried animal pet toys that nobody in the house wants to play with, and those are a great thing to filter. And go and donate to an animal shelter or something. Go take them to some place where they're a rescue organization. You don't need a bunch of pet toys that the dog or cat is ignoring all over your floor or in a basket in the corner. Like if you're organized about it, maybe you put all of the toys into a basket somewhere. Well, the basket has probably a foot deep and full of toys, and nobody's seen the toys at the bottom for 5 years. So it's a great place to thin the herd and benefit some other animals in a shelter environment. Old electronics. Those of you that are early adopters out there, I am sure that you have a bunch of old tech that you spent a whole lot of money on, and it's all sitting there, and you keep thinking, but I spent $5,000 on it. And it's like, that's the price of being the early adopter. If you're an early adopter, then you fork out a big bunch of money so that you can say that you had the tech before anybody else. And now it's ancient and no one cares anymore. So if you're a regular tech person, it just means that you have, 5 iterations of the phones that you've done and maybe a couple of laptops or e-readers. We all have a lot of tech laid around in our house now. So this is a perfect thing to recycle and take and let them recycle the components and get it out of here. If you're worried about the hard drive, pull the hard drive out and whack it. Get somebody to get a sledgehammer and whack the hell out of it before you donate it. It's not going to be an impediment to donating the electronics. But usually if you concentrate on, gee, what tech do I have in the house that no longer needs to be here, printers in particular, like you get a new printer when you buy a new computer, there's always a bunch of printers around in people's houses, and like, oh, that's the old one that we don't use anymore, but it still works. Okay, if it still works, donate it. If it doesn't work, recycle it. Or if it's old and it's old tech and it's old print drivers and it wouldn't work with the new equipment anyway, it's time to recycle it all. Music. So music is, vinyl records are kind of making a comeback. I think that there's a lot of people that are still listening to vinyl. They take up a lot of space. And if you have a big record collection that is in vinyl form, or you have old cassettes or old, God forbid you have 8-track tapes, but if there is a bunch of music collection in your house, this is just like books, right? It was all music that you tried at one time, but there's going to be stuff that you wouldn't listen to anymore. It would be perfectly lovely for you to filter through and say, that artist doesn't work for me. I listened to that, I didn't like it, whatever, and donate those records or sell them, whatever you need to do to be comfortable about it. But there's ways to donate this music away and get it down to the collection that you really want. Craft supplies. So you guys know I'm a crafter. You know that I'm a beader, and I have, like, if you could just see what's in front of me right now, I'm standing in front of my bead table. There's a million beads here. I know what it's like to be in love with craft supplies. I do. So this is what I tell you about craft supplies. If you are into crafts and you're into the same craft, you evolve over time and you become more of an expert as time goes by. So the supplies that you used in the beginning would probably not be materials or techniques that you would do now, and so you can give away your early career. If you are a multi-crafter, so you ping back and forth and you try crafts all the time and you're constantly changing around, that's likely that you are currently doing 2 or 3 crafts and there's 5 or 6 crafts that you did a decade ago or 2 decades ago. You tried it, you didn't like it, you had fun for a minute, you got over it, and all of those supplies can be boxed up and donated. If it's one that you think you're going to come back to, then pull down the representative sample of that craft, keep the very specific things that are unique to that craft, and anything else that can be easily replaced, donate those parts, and if you go back to it, you can go back and restock easily. There's a lot of ways you can filter craft supplies, and I would concentrate on one craft at a time and whether that craft is active and important for you right now or not, and the answer of how much you keep depends on the answer to that question. There can be too many Christmas decorations in your life. I talk about Christmas, but really this applies to any holiday where you add decor, where you entertain with themed food and platters and decorations, any kind of event where you're pulling out theme-specific, holiday-specific decorations and food serving pieces. We throw a party for 4th of July. We buy enough because we got 15, 20, 40 people coming over, and we have 10 things left from that theme. And then that goes in the closet somewhere and waits for never, because we're never going to throw that same party again and use the same decorations. You're going to go buy another round of stuff the next time. So all those little leftovers, I would send them off somewhere to be reused somewhere else. Take them to a school, take them to work, take them anywhere that isn't your house, basically, where people are going to, eat food and make use of them some other way. Take them to a soup kitchen, take them to a church luncheon place, anything like that. The decorations are the same. Christmas, for some reason, you inherit Christmas decorations, so there's always ones from your childhood that you want to keep, and then you accumulate them over time, and the new Christmas display comes out every year, and you always go buy more. So trying to filter those as you put up the new decorations this year and look into your stash and see how much of that stuff that I call part of my Christmas stash has not been out for 5 years. It's time to go put those in a donation pile. Pantry's next. The pantry is another place. It's very active. You're constantly buying new stuff, and so the old stuff gets shoved to the back. It is time to circulate through the pantry and dig out what is dead, what the family won't eat, what we tried and it didn't taste good, whatever you need. I'm the technique, and I'm not going to use that product anymore, that spice, and I'm not going to ever try to make that again. Get rid of all the stuff that doesn't need to be there and it isn't fresh, so that what is in there is all the stuff that is current and your family is using and you like to eat. There's no benefit to keeping old stuff just so it takes up more space and makes it harder for the pantry to function. This is a very active zone, and so the more air you have in the pantry, the better off you are. Kitchen gadgets. Oh my gosh. You know that every year they come out with another round of kitchen gadgets, and so this is a perfect place to go into your kitchen and put all the drawers with all the little gadgets in it and pull out those gadgets and go, yeah, I bought it, I tried it, but I don't like it. It's time to let it go. This is a great way to get some space back for the gadgets that you're actually using. That's the best way to say it. Each of those drawers in the kitchen have a collection of things in them, and you should pull the contents out and see, could I actually use these? Would I actually use these? Did I actually use them? And if the answer to those questions is no and no and no, it's time to donate those away. Oh, this is because my mother had a buffet like this. It was a really big buffet piece of furniture in the dining room, and it's very heavy and long, and it's usually stuffed full of holiday dishes or extra sets, or here's the crystal, or here's all the placemats or the tablecloths or whatever. It's usually crammed full of stuff, and basically it's crammed full of the things that you inherited, or when you had the idea that you were going to do all this entertaining, or when you thought you really needed 20 place settings and you really only ever used 10. It is usually an overflow piece of furniture, and so I would go through that piece of furniture as one project and see how much of that stuff really needs to stay in your life, or if some of it can go. Okay, ladies, you know that you all have a million purses, and they're all in the closet somewhere, and they're all flopping around. And we go through purses, we use them for a while, we move on to the next one. There's a lot of purses that have seen better days and can be donated. So I would pull out your whole collection so that you are refreshed and reminded about what you have, and then decide if they're all ones that you want to keep. Any ones that you can give up, that you carried it all summer long and it was a great summer purse, but you beat it to hell and you're never going to take it. You're not going to take it out in future summers. It's time to let that one go. You carried one all winter long and same thing. You beat it to hell and you're not going to use it again. It's time to donate them away. Receipts is a reminder to go into your wallet, girl or boy. We all have wallets stuffed full of paper, and pulling that paper out and deciding, am I keeping this just because it's where I put it when they handed it to me, or do I actually think I have a purpose for this? And if you do have a purpose for it, I'm saving this for taxes, whatever, then collect it into a Ziploc bag and mark it with the year and go stick it in your tax file. And you need to do that occasionally because there's always a gazillion receipts in there, and half of them are going to be through the drive-through, and nobody's deducting the drive-through. I'm just telling you. So there's a certain amount of paper that you may want to keep for returns and for tax purposes, but otherwise, the purpose for having that piece of paper has long passed. So off it goes. Shower products. There's something about shower products, like all along the tub or on the edge of the shower, there's always this row of bottles of shower products and shampoos and body wash and all that kind of stuff that you take in the shower. And if there's more than one person using the shower, husband and wife, a couple of siblings, whatever, then there's like double the products in there. And this is another place where we try products and then we don't like them, or we want multiple scents or flavors, and it sort of gets out of control with how much we keep there on the shelf. And then it starts really looking crazy in there. So this is one where I would go and filter the products and say, am I using all this stuff? Is it something that I want to use up and throw the bottle out, or is it something that I will never put on my head again because I hated it, or I'm never going to use it on my body because I hated it? It's time to let that stuff go. And those can be given to a friend. They can be donated to a shelter. Body products you can take to a women's shelter if you want, and hand them over that way if you don't want to just throw them out. But it's a great thing to filter so that there's not so much going on, and don't get so far ahead in your purchasing. You can only use so many, you're only taking so many showers in theory, not often more than one shower a day, and there's only so many times you can wash your hair. So the products take a while to get through them, so don't buy so far ahead. Save it until you run out of something, and then you can go shopping for a new one. Lotions and potions. This is also a bathroom problem that happens on the cabinet, on the counter in the bathroom. Here's all of the lotions that you tried and all of the sunscreens and all the other stuff that you thought you needed to use. And so making that one big pile and filtering through and saying, I tried this and I hate the flavor. I tried that. I don't like how it feels, whatever. Filter those potions out. It's a great small population, and you can usually find lotion bottles everywhere. And it'll be easy to make a big collection and pick your favorites and let the rest go. Kids' clothes. Oh my gosh. Luckily in kids' closets, they have the perfect filter. Whether you care or not, whether you think the clothing should be gone or not, kids are constantly growing out of them. And so you can't keep the clothing because the kid can't wear them anymore. It's super awesome. So that makes the decision really easy. So going through kids' clothes and doing it, now that school has started, it's time to go through the summer clothes that they wore all summer, and let's give away the ones that are stained and give away the ones that they outgrew, and pull down the ones if you're saving from one child for the next child. Pull down the summer clothes that you would actually put your next child in, and put them in a box and put them in the closet somewhere, not hanging up on the rod. Kids' clothes need a couple of seasons, couple times a year. You need to filter through and go, they can't wear this anymore, they can't wear this anymore, they can't wear this anymore. Or they destroyed this one, even though they can wear it, it's now fully destroyed with stains and rips and whatever. Kids are hard on clothes. Same with the toys. little kids' brains, it's hard for them to have infinite possibilities and be able to choose between them. They will be much happier playing with a smaller population to choose from. And, if you don't want to give away everything, you can take half of it up and put it in a box somewhere and let them play with the second half and then rotate. And the kids outgrow toys just like they outgrow clothes. So this is a perfect population to churn a couple times a year. They're going to have another birthday. They're going to have another holiday season where they're going to get gifts from everybody, and going through and churning this population regularly through their lifetime until they get past the whole, bright plastic toy part of their life, will help you manage the the playroom during the year, and you won't be tripping and stepping on as much chaos. And the kids will be happier with a little bit less to manage. Every woman has a jewelry box that is full of a bunch of jewelry that they're not looking at. So we all have the things that we like to wear, and then there's the things that we wear in special occasions, and then there's the stuff that we try and don't like. And so you probably have, if you went through and looked at all of your jewelry as one collection, you would find a bunch of stuff that is not of interest to you anymore, or it's not age appropriate anymore, or you would not wear it now. And so filtering out the jewelry will give you some more room in your jewelry box, and then you'll actually wear the stuff and see all the stuff that you want to wear now. It's a good thing to filter. I'm just going to say the word shoes. You all have too much of them. You need to filter them. And there are lots of shoes that were your favorite. The sandals, like I'm looking at the picture and there's little sandals on there and stuff. You wear those sandals for a couple of months and then they're torn to hell. They're shredded. They're peeling. That you've kicked the toes. You've scuffed the bottom. You've ruined the heel. There's not a whole lot of life in summer sandals. They get beat up a lot. Other shoes, you might be able to replace the heel. It's a little bit better, but you're constantly buying new shoes, and the ones that are beat up, you need to let go of and move on. Let them be donated and make room for the new ones you're buying because you're buying new. And truthfully, there's a lot of shoe materials that don't survive over time, and so go looking for the ones that are coming apart and let them go. Decorations. If you are a Martha Stewart type, you probably have a lot of decorations where you are changing out for the season, and it's spring and you put the spring stuff out, and then it's fall and you put the fall stuff out, and then the Thanksgiving stuff out. If you are churning decorations like that, you probably need to go through and make sure that all of the things that you have to choose from are still ones that you would actually choose. So filter for, I tried that one season, I didn't like it, and let them go. And then make sure that of your 37 Thanksgiving options, you would still use all of them. Pick the best ones and let some of them go. The thing about buying decorations is that you just keep buying ones that you think are cute. You just keep adding the population, but you don't display an ever-growing amount most of the time. And so you always want to keep that population down to the ones that you actually want to put out now. And the ones that have been retired need to be retired out of the house. Laundry room. So the laundry room has a weird collection of cabinets or shelves. Builders do weird things in the laundry room about making cabinet space, like you can actually get over the washing machine to get to the cabinets above it. They're usually very odd and hard to reach, and they end up with a weird collection of stuff in them. So going into those, whatever the storage is in your laundry room, and trying to pull out the contents and decide, is this all really stuff that I want? And is this the best place to store it? And can I actually access it if I think I'm going to use it? Making some decisions about what lives in the laundry room and where it lives in the laundry room would be really helpful to you. And I think there's always a lot of product as well. Laundry detergent and softeners and stuff like that you've tried, a million bleaches or whatever. You've got a lot of weird products up in there. And so separating the things that you would use all the time from the things that are specialty items, and then letting anything that you would not actually use again go, would really help your functioning laundry room, make it work better. Bedside table is a good one because we all get in bed and put aside the magazine we're reading, put aside the book that we're reading, put down the note, the paperwork, the journal we write in, and whatever's going on over there. It's usually a place that collects a lot of stuff because it's the last surface that we can reach before we fall asleep. So it gets everything that is our last release, right? So going onto the top of that table and churning those contents. Maybe there's a bunch of old meds from when you had the flu. Maybe there's a bunch of receipts from shopping. There's always a bunch of weird collection up there, and it's a great place to clean and filter off and get a nice surface back so you can put the current book that you're reading back down on it easily. Garage. Oh my gosh, the garage is a big one, right? The garage is a large space, and it's full of a bunch of stuff. And this is where, as you can see on the left, this is where everything goes to die that they don't want to deal with right now. I would suggest tackling the garage in zones. Nobody wants to do a whole garage, and if you try to do the whole garage all in one sitting, you won't get it all done and you will not make as many decisions. So better to try some zones. Like in this garage, I would work around the washing machine, and then I would work around the refrigerator, and then I would work on the right, and I would divvy up the stuff on the left in 3 different zones and try to work my way through it that way. If you do it in smaller bites, you'll be able to make better decisions. But usually if it's come out to the garage to die, it's like the last place that it's going to live before you can finally release it. And so it's time to face some of those release decisions and get in the garage and release some stuff. We're coming up on fall, and so this is a perfect thing to do in October when it's cooler outside and you're not miserable in the garage. So put it on your calendar now and plan to do a couple weekends in a row and do an afternoon or a day there. Under the bed. Under the bed is the perfect place to store things, and there's usually a lot of stuff that gets shoved under there and forgotten about. And so if you don't already have containers under the bed, then going under the bed to see what has rolled under there would be a good thing to try to reclaim that space. It's likely that you have accidentally kicked some things under there. The pets have taken some things under there, and you don't even know what's down there. So go under the bed and pull it all out and see what's there and see if it really still needs to be there. I'm sure that in the moment when you stored in there and you had to put it in, that you thought, oh, this is going to be a great idea, I can put this here, and then that was a decade ago and you forgot about it. So you're probably going to find something under there that you completely forgot was there, and it'll be ready for it to go. This is the part where this is my first product recommendation. Everybody needs a bucket to put the mail in. If you are not going to process the mail the minute that you come in, if you're going to do mail every other day or once a week or on the weekends or whatever, you need some place to park the mail. And we tend to go and throw it on a table, but it is easier to corral, and it's more of a reminder to handle it if you have a receptacle, a box, a bin, a tray that you throw the mail in, and then it's very obvious when that tray is full. And so it prompts you to go back and deal. I always say handle your mail at least every other day. And if you have a box like this that only holds a couple of days worth of mail, you're ahead of the game. You got to go deal with it. And it keeps it from sliding off the floor and all that kind of stuff. So add in a parking space for the mail. Fridge storage. So they are making some really great fridge bins now that are long and skinny. This isn't actually a picture of those, but they're long and skinny containers that you can put jars in, for instance, of here's the sauces, or here's all the ketchup and mustard, or that kind of stuff. Or here's the soft-sided, or here's the bin that I have my meat in, or whatever. It's great to have these bins because they're long and narrow, and so they fill up the space, and they have a handle, and you can pull them out. You can also add in a Lazy Susan into a fridge, and Lazy Susan is a great way to be able to spin and circulate and see everything in an area and bring the one you want to the front, right? So that was a new adaptation. It's been a little while, but the idea of putting a Lazy Susan in the fridge is super helpful. And see about getting some of that fridge specific bins. You'll like them. So this is a little tiny, this is the perfect size for a medicine cabinet. Those medicine cabinet shelves are a couple of inches wide, and so something really narrow, if you put all this stuff into the medicine cabinet by itself, then it would all be laying down, and and it would be easily knocked down. and when you went to reach for something. But if you have a little container in there, then you can sort of fill the container with stuff, and you can go pluck things out of the container without destroying or having everything on the shelf in the medicine cabinet fall on your head. So adding these little clear, even just one that's long and shallow, but this one is great, it's segmented. Anything that is narrow enough to sit on a medicine cabinet shelf will help you manage those shelves and keep control of the stuff. Kids storage. Kids need buckets without lids, and it makes it easier for them to throw things away, and it makes it easier for you to sort of go, okay, let's put the toys away, and where do the little stuffed animals go in the little stuffed animal bin? You know, you can sort of enroll your kids in helping pick up a little bit if they have bins that are easy for them to reach, first of all, and so it's got to be down their level, and this cabinet is like two openings high, so it's still the height for a kid, and they can pull the bin out and throw some stuff in the bin, and you know, they don't have to be super accurate. They just have to hit the bin, and so it makes it easy for kids. And these are fabric, and so they're pliable, flexible, they can get overstuffed, they can be sat on by accident, and nothing's going to be destroyed. So kids storage nowadays is real helpful for them. Kitchen gadget bin. So here's what I mean by this. We have a lot of kitchen gadgets now. Think of a Cuisinart that has all of the blades and attachments, or a KitchenAid mixer that has little attachments that screw on, and other bowls and things that go with it. What happens is you bring home this big appliance, and then it comes with accessories, and then the accessories are all loose and they don't stack well. They're not designed to stack, they're designed to attach to the appliance. And so maintaining all of those parts gets real crazy, and usually I find them thrown onto a shelf somewhere, and they're completely making the shelf not usable, and then when they go to use the appliance, they can't find the accessory that they want. So I always try to take those accessories and collect them by appliance into their own bin, and then when you want the KitchenAid accessories, you pull down the KitchenAid accessory bin, and that way they're all in there and they're all contained, and they're not flopping around and sliding around on the shelf. Makes it super easy. If you don't have space for it, this is the kind of stuff that I would put in inside a pantry on the floor, because it's in a bin. Then it's not sitting directly on the floor, it's in its own container, and it's easy to reach down and pick up that bin and put it back again later. Closet hooks are a great thing to add into the walls in your closet, so that you can hang up your bras, or you can hang up the ties, or you can hang up the baseball hats, or some of the purses that you're using all the time. There's lots of command hooks, there's lots of little hooks to attach on the wall, there's lots of ways that you can add a couple of hooks in. Here's where the belt is that you're currently wearing, or whatever. There's lots of things that would help you manage them if you could hang them on a hook inside the closet. And so add in a couple of hooks, and then you can get the bras that you want right away, or the belt that you want right away. Labeled basket. So this is the addition to I think of it as the entryway, the mud room. Here's where everybody comes in and drops their stuff off, particularly if you have a posse of kids that are coming in from school, and they have a backpack, and they have the, you know, accoutrement from their hobby, that whatever their sport they were in, all that stuff comes in, and they sort of release it. They just let go of it as they come in. But if you can provide them with some labeled bins, then they can put some of that stuff, you know, there, you can put the schoolwork in it, you can sit the backpack in a bin, you can have hooks there in the mudroom and hang the hooks up. But the labeled baskets allow you to say, here's one for each kid, and each kid's stuff goes, you know, put your own things in your own bin. And it allows them to participate in the idea of, when I come home, I don't just throw everything down. There's a step to coming home, and that step is stopping and divesting myself of my contents, just like mommy hangs her purse up or puts her keys on the key hook. I'm going to come in, put my backpack in my bin, or I'm going to come and put my schoolwork in my bin, or whatever, so that I know where my stuff is later when it's time to do homework, or it's time to go back out the next day. Under the bed storage, there's a whole lot of under the bed storage these days. Some of it has wheels, some of these are a soft side example, but there's lots of ways to take advantage of the space under your bed for long-term storage. And frankly, I think sticking things under the bed prevents things from accidentally rolling under the bed, because there's things to stop it. So it's a great place to put things that you don't need, out of season clothing, extra blankets, sheets for the current bed, whatever that is useful in that bedroom, and have it be under the bed. And then you can reach down and grab it when you need it, but otherwise it's out of the way and it's not taking up space in the closet, which is a real bonus for you. And then you have, you know, a sort of a doorstop underneath the bed as well. It'll prevent you from, you know, having your favorite pair of shoes go 3 feet under the bed because it's going to hit an under storage container instead. Shoe organizers. Oh my gosh. So shoe organizers can be great. They basically turn the back of a door into a great storage container for a million things. So they can be used for the obvious things, which is you can use them for shoes, clearly, but you can also use them for craft supplies and things like that. So if you have craft supplies, cleaning supplies, I've seen people use them for cleaning supplies. I've seen them used for tech. Like one of my friends who was super techie, he was using it for putting in all of his wires and like clips and appliances that were all related to all his tech. And it was a great way he could bind them up with a, you know, a cord wrap and stick them in all the little cubbies of the shoe organizer. So it's a perfect multi-container, easily seen, easily accessed solution. Hanging garage storage. So this is a really brilliant thing to put things up over your head in that dead space in the garage. A lot of times you can get one of these to hang from the ceiling and then it hangs down to where the door comes up. And so it's basically using space that you wouldn't access any other way. And it's perfect for, here's where Christmas goes, here's where camping goes, here's where the stuff that I only get out once a year, or here's the, you know, when we make the family trip and we take all this stuff with us on the trip, and it all can go up in over your head and not be in the way. So it's a perfect solution. There's Home Depot versions that you can install, and there's also versions that you can hire garage companies to come and install fancier versions. Some of them have, this one has a wire on the bottom. Some of them have, you know, like platforms that are wood. There's versions that are designed to be let down so that it's basically on a pulley system, and when you want it, you lower the platform down to the ground and you get what you want, and then you pulley it back up in the air again. There's all kinds of versions of this. So if you need some help in the garage, this is a great way to add storage in the garage. Magazine holders. I love magazine holders as a million other options. So in this particular case, it's a sturdy metal container, and it can hold, for instance, here's the aluminum foil and wax paper and that kind of stuff on there. It is a great solution for containing things that would otherwise be sort of flippy floppy. You can hang those on the inside of a door, you can stand them on the shelf, you can turn them on their side so that the opening comes out this way, and you can have them in a pantry shelf and making them accessible that way. There's a million things that can stand in those containers besides paper or magazines, and just keep them in mind when you think that you need a solution. You need a solution of how to put up a bunch of small things in a container and not have it flop around, and this is it. The bill box. So this is me. I went onto Etsy and found a really pretty example of a handmade box, but the idea is you want some place to put your bills so that when you are ready to pay them, you can actually go and get them. And so as you receive bills and you want to keep up with them, if you're still getting them in paper form, you want to keep up with them. So when they come in the mail, instead of leaving them on the coffee table and forgetting about them, you can go stick them in the bill box. And then when it's time to and have stamps in there and have the checkbook maybe in there that you're going to use. And then when it's time to pay the bills, you can go to the bill box and pull out everything that you found over the last 2 weeks and before it's time to pay bills. Drawer organizers. Drawer organizers, these little containers, you know, they're an inch, they're 1.5 inches, they're 2 inches tall, but you want the ones that fit into a typical drawer and you can actually still close the drawer. So a regular bin is usually too tall. So you need specifically drawer organizers so they're shallow enough to fit. And then any combination of, you're basically putting little buckets in a big drawer space and making each one of those little buckets have a purpose. And so adding in drawer organizers to any drawer in the kitchen, in the bathroom, in the office, in a kid's room, wherever you have a drawer, even into a piece of furniture, if you're trying to keep a bunch of little stuff in a piece of furniture drawer, adding in drawer organizers will make your life 1,000 times better because it won't be a big soup of stuff. That's really the truth. Drawer organizers will help you everywhere. And here is the last one. Magazine rack is a perfect way to contain your magazines, of course, but it's also a perfect filter for you. Pick a magazine rack and say, I only want this many magazines in my life. Once it doesn't fit in the magazine rack, it means I have too many and it's time to filter. So you give yourself a finite amount that will fit in the container, and when the container's full, that's your trigger to start filtering some out because you know you got more coming in. And it'll start to look bad if you overflow it and then sit stuff next to it and whatever, it won't look nice anymore. So it's sort of a mental exercise to trigger you to move on with the collection and thin it out. I have finally gotten to the end of my list, and thank you so much for sitting with me through all that. Do we have any questions out there?
Gayle, I put out a call for questions. No one has piped in. I think there was a very lively chat today, and I think we answered each other's questions for
cool.
the most
Awesome.
part. Before we quit, I wanted to let everybody know that our next online meeting is Tuesday, September 24th at noon Central Time.
Yes.
And our next in-person meeting is Thursday, October 24th at a Healing Collective in Houston. So if you're in Houston and want to join us live, we'll see you there. We'll announce
That's happened a couple of times because we've had a couple of visitors from out of state come to they've been around when the meeting happened, and so we've had some great visits from people. It's been wonderful. So thank you so much for making the trip, those of you that have stopped by, and we were always happy to see faces from out of town.
You can visit our website to RSVP and for more information. We'll announce topics for both of those soon. If you'd like to receive notifications about upcoming events, we invite you to join the meetup group at meetup.com/Houston-Clutter-Coaching. You can also follow us on Facebook or subscribe to our mailing list. We'd love to hear from you, so please send us your questions and topic suggestions in the YouTube comments. And you can always reach us through our website at clutterfairyhouston.com. Okay, we better wrap it up.
All right, thanks you guys. I'm so happy that you came to listen to me talk today. I hope this gives you some ideas about ways to get started, and we will see you next time. Bye.